what? And she said, yes, all your hair is gone. You have no nostril hair. I found my lump 7 weeks after a crystal clear mammogram. They said, it's running through you like wildfire. We need to treat you urgently and aggressively. I did a Spartan 5K a month after finishing all my treatment.
If you see somebody who's shrinking in the corner and trying to hide it, you're not going to get a lot of positive vibes out of that. But when you see somebody who just stands up and says, hey, this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be, I mean, it's kind of empowering, not only for you, but for other people as well, I would imagine.
Out of the 5,000 athletes, many of them are going to lose their hair to cancer one day. And I want them to remember the noisy bald lady, and that if she could do it, I could do it too.
Hello, everybody. This is Dan and Dante, and you're watching Middle Age Mess, where we talk about how middle age is the middle child of ages. Today, we're very excited to have a multi-hyphenate guest, fitness guru, cancer survivor Fitz Koehler, who has written some amazing books about her journey with cancer and how you can use some of her guides to make your own journey a lot easier. Fitz, we're really glad to have you on today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm very excited to chat with you about this mess we're living in, right?
Exactly. So look, you've got so many things going on, but I'm going to kind of focus on your books first.
Yeah, so the Cancer Comeback series are my three most recent books, and they stemmed from me being a fitness pro and having cancer. And cancer was not a lot of fun, but it was also very funny. And I think you're not supposed to talk about that cancer can be downright hilarious.
Look, anytime cancer is funny, that's the person I want to talk to, right?
Well, you got to laugh at yourself, right? And
Right.
So I've lost my father to cancer, both grandmas. I've lost so many close friends. And we can also say nothing's funny about cancer. But when I went through it, holy mackerel, the things that happened to me were batshit crazy. And at some extent, you had to laugh. So, for example, I went bald and I never wore a wig.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I tried one on and I thought, oh, these things are itchy and they make me sad. And I'm not going to do anything that makes me any sadder, right? But when I went bald, I wasn't just dealing with a bald head. I was dealing with a skunk stripe. For the past whatever years of my life, I had parted my hair down the middle. And so I was a skunk. I had this white bald head with a brown skunk stripe going down my head, which, oh, it was so crazy. My eyes changed colors.
What color did they become?
So they were very pale gray blue, the kind of eyes where people always reference, are your eyes gray? And they were, and grayish blue. And then I was at the Big Sur International Marathon. I'm a race announcer. I host start and finish lines of massive running events. The 3K, the day before the massive races or the longer distance races. And I wake up, my hotel room's like 5 a.m. and I jump in the shower, which is so easy when you're bald. And trust me, bald is not my preference, but whatever.
Look, guys understand. We spend a lot less time in the bathroom for a reason.
So I jump in, I dry myself off like a plastic bowl. It takes 3 seconds, and then for the first time that day, I looked in the mirror and holy crap, my eyes that were pale gray. Now I'm looking at these navy blue saucers sitting in the middle of my face. I thought, what the hell is going on? And I looked again and I thought, well, do I call 911? I mean, is this a medical emergency? What do I do? And then I thought, well, if I call 911 and say, help, my eyes have changed colors, they're sending a person with a straight jacket, right?
Sure, you're getting the paddy wagon.
Nothing good's going from that. So I decide, well, what the hell? I can still see, and I've got 5,000 people waiting for me, so I need to just get on with it. And maybe I'm just seeing things, right? Maybe it's my vision that's
So wait,
bad.
hold on. So is this the first time that you're showing up with a bald head anywhere?
Oh, no, that happened 2 months prior.
Oh, okay.
But I was thinking, well, maybe I'm just seeing things. And so when it's time to go, my announcing partner comes and knocks on my hotel bedroom door, and I open it up. And the first thing he says is, what the hell happened to your eyes? And he said, I know. And so there was just all sorts of crazy, wacky stuff that is pretty laughable.
Well,
and
do we know why it happened? I mean, is there some medical reason or?
That's a great question. I still don't have answer to that. I had all my fingernails ripped off, my toenails ripped off. I had to very quickly I know.
Okay.
Those are also sad. But if you were following me around with a reality TV camera and you saw how the nails came off, it would be doing simple things like opening the drawer to get out a fork. It would just pop off,
Yeah,
and I'd
this
be
this all sounds super funny, Fitz.
well, okay, so this is well, the eye thing I think is very funny. At some point, my nose was running. I and the drugs they give you, a lot of chemotherapy drugs have a high propensity to cause allergic reactions. So severe ones and then not so severe reactions. But at one race, I was at the finish line. A girl who had beaten breast cancer a couple years prior, I call her over. Literally the year prior, I was making a big stank over Dana Sabatka, who finished her first half marathon post cancer. And then there I am, bald on my stage. So I say, Dana, come over, get a hug. And she does. And she says, how are you? Now, even though I had to tell everybody that I had cancer, which is why I'd be showing up bald, I didn't tell everybody about the hardships as they happened. I just
Yeah.
decided my business is about health and happiness, not suffering and sickness. So I'll keep those details to myself, apparently reveal it in a book later. But she comes over, she says, how are you doing? I said, oh, I'm fine. I've got allergies and I have all these little tissues crumbled up on the table on my stage. She goes, you don't have allergies. I said, yes, I do. That's why my nose is running. She goes, Fitz, you don't have any nostril hair. And I said, what? And she said, yes, all your hair is gone. You have no nostril hair. That's why your nose is running. And so I said, look, and I tilted my head back and she looked up my nose and she said, yep, no nostril
Wow.
hair. So
I mean, that's just another cool reason to have cancer, though, to get rid of all the nostril hair. I
yeah,
didn't realize this.
it's not a good thing. In fact, I never just thought as a youngish woman I'd be wishing for nostril hair, but it keeps your stuff in. So my
th-
nose runs like a sieve
oh my
thanks to
goodness.
nothing there to grab it. So anyhow, my noisy cancer comeback, that book is a result of not only the wild and wacky things that went on as I traveled the country almost every weekend of the year and a half I was being treated. Also, I made some really good decisions. I knew that if I passed those along, other people would do better and be better in difficult situations. So that one's my noisy cancer comeback. And look how
Nice.
happy I was.
I know. Look at
Yay.
that sexy short hair and those bright blue eyes. It's a winner
Yay.
right there.
Don't I look like yay cancer right there?
Exactly. Well, hey, let's go back a little further. When were you diagnosed with cancer? How old were you?
Ugh, 42 or 4? I think 42.
Okay. And so before then, who were you then? I mean, you were an announcer. Were you writing books?
Who I've always been. I was an athlete, running races all the time, and a mom of 2. And my kids were 13 and 15, traveling the country probably 30 weekends of the year announcing races. I do keynote presentations. So everything about me was health and fitness and sports oriented.
So you've obviously made an amazing comeback, right? And you obviously have attacked cancer with this amazing attitude and you're showing the world. But on that day, I imagine none of that existed.
No, I definitely thought I was going to die. In fact, so I found my lump 7 weeks after a crystal clear mammogram, and it was a sizey little thing. It
Oh, wow.
wasn't a minuscule. It was a lump that I found, and within about a week, I went in for the scans and the biopsy, and I was told that not only did I have a sizey lump, but it had already spread to my lymph nodes. It
Oh, my
was
God.
cancer. They said it's running through you like wildfire. We need to treat you urgently and aggressively. And I was terrified. I had no statistical basis for my thought process, but I thought I'm definitely dying. I'm dying soon. I'm
Yeah.
dying young. It
Oh,
was agonizing. Really, the thing that punished me the most was knowing that I would be missing out on my kids' lives.
yeah.
And it's just brutal, just a brutal experience, which is not the type of thing you want to carry with you, but the empathy I have for other people going through it is just immense. It's gut wrenching.
Yeah, no, it wasn't so funny on that date. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the journey from that date to the noisy cancer comeback. Was it strictly a function of you just getting better physically, or was there something that you did mentally? You decided to have an attitude change, or what did you do?
I did both. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. You
Okay.
can go on social media right now and find one of your friends asking for prayers about their sprained ankle. Oh, I sprained my ankle. Everybody pray for me. Or I went running and I fell. Look at my
I've never
skinny.
prayed for those people, just FYI. Never once.
Such a weird thing to do. And it's the victim mentality. Everybody, look, I'm hurt. I cringe at the fact that all these people had to see me down, right? What I did from the start is I thought, well, I have cancer, but down the street from me at University of Florida Health Hospital, UF Health, there's a pediatric oncology unit. And I just thought, well, I'm so lucky not to be a baby with cancer. And there's a whole bunch of that going around, right?
Yeah.
And then I was so fortunate that it wasn't my kids with cancer. And because of those two things, I kept perspective. So whatever went wrong with me, and everything went wrong with me, I would say, well, at least I'm not a kid with cancer. It's not my kid with cancer. And so that perspective kept me going. And I was sad and I was stressed and I did cry. I never wallowed in it. And there's a big differentiator right there. So it's either you're going to be the most miserable person, the victim, or you're going to choose to make the best of every single freaking day. And I did. I
Right.
did for sure. And
Can I
then
tell
the
you a
other,
little side story real quick? You're talking about kids with
please,
cancer. University of Iowa football. The stadium was built a couple of years ago, and directly on top of the stadium is the Children's Hospital. And
I've seen
so,
the story.
right, it's unbelievable. And so the kids are based on the top floor, looking out the window, watching the football game. And at the end of every first quarter, I'm going to cry right now just thinking about it. The teams turn around and the entire stadium turns around and waves at the little kids. They call it the greatest tradition in college football, and it is amazing. And if you ever want some perspective in your life, as tears like roll down my cheek, you watch the game and you watch these little kids up there and you understand what they're struggling with. So I totally know where you're coming from in terms of, just being grateful for what you have and knowing that other people are way worse off than you. It's amazing to me to look outside of yourself and to be able to do that in a time of obviously great stress and trauma for you.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And it's funny because people see me now or they hear me now, and I'm so pointed with my message. Right? And they're like, oh, she's a little much. She's so aggressive with this. But I so passionately believe that you can make these decisions for yourself. There's no marvel in me. I'm not a superhero. I'm just some girl
Yeah, you
who
might
got
be a
cancer.
little Captain America-ish, just a touch. I don't know.
Perhaps, but I make good decisions and they're not easy decisions. They're hard. And I am human. There was lots of crying and stress and so forth. Perspective was number one. The next decision I made that couldn't have been any more valuable was to continue pursuing my passions. Two things. Number one, my kids, if they were going to have a show, a ceremony, a sporting event during my treatment, I was going to be there come hell or high water. I had 15 months of chemotherapy.
Oh, wow.
My worst part of treatment for me was those 15 months. It was like living with a violent stomach bug every single day for
I've heard horror
almost a year and
stories.
a half.
Yeah.
And as my digestive system went through a cheese grater, I was endlessly sick. Again, everything else went wrong, but that was the worst. I had 33 rounds of radiation. I had
Ugh.
surgery. I had the triathlon of treatment. It was doing those things with my kids. And I was committed to escaping the hospital if I had to get to my kids. And I would have done it. I am such a pain in the ass, but I would have. And then the other thing was to continue with my career. And so first, I hope people have chosen a career that they love so much that they would do no matter what. But for me, I live in Florida. I was often in California and New York. I was everywhere. Fargo, you name it.
You were in Fargo?
For sure, many times.
Nice. Very impressive.
Are you a Fargo guy?
No, I've just watched the movie 30 times. So I
Oh,
figured,
okay. Yeah, I know it's the Fargo Marathon. I've been there a bunch.
Yeah, not too many people talk about Fargo on their list of destinations.
Yeah, Fargo Marathon needs to be on everybody's list. Those travel days. Can you imagine traveling across the country with a stomach bug? Wasn't a good time. But the magic of my decision is that when I get to my point B, quite often I would sleep on those hotel bathroom floors because that's the only way to stop the world from spinning. But when the alarm would go off in the morning, I would force it. I'd drag myself up. I'd get myself dressed and as prettied up as I could possibly be. And then the second I stepped on those stages, miracles happened. Literally every single thing that was wrong with me disappeared. I wasn't sick. I wasn't tired. I wasn't suffering. I was adrenaline fueled and I was focused on something other than me. I was focused on these extraordinary events and these wonderful people that had come to exercise, which I love. I got to be full force Fitz Koehler again as long as I had an athlete out on those horses. And so if I would have yielded to the scaredy cats in my life who said, stay home, wear a mask, hide out, don't touch anybody, I would have been miserable. All I would have done was cry. I would have been depressed. I don't think isolation is good for anybody. In fact, for me, getting my hands on thousands of sweaty, germy strangers most weekends of the year.
Sounds like every Saturday night for me, but it's a whole.
Yeah. I love people. And so I had miraculous outcomes because I was persistent and I made decisions, passions, perspective every day, and they worked for me. And so I was just, for other people, is to no matter what's going wrong with your life, whether it's divorce or your house burns down or someone's sick or someone died, you still pursue the things that you love. You still play your flute. You still paint your picture. You still hang with your animals. You do whatever it takes to nurture yourself, even when the world around you is spiraling out of control. I assure you, it causes such goodness in your life. It fixes a lot of things.
So were those decisions that you made on your own? You just said, I'm going to live my life, be happy? Or was it part of like a
Yeah.
medical program? How did it happen?
I just decided. So my doctors were great. They gave me treatment plans. They never held me back. So I remember telling my oncologist and said, well, I'm a professional race announcer. And he goes, oh, I've run the San Francisco half marathon. I said, okay. He goes, so I understand what you do. And I said, well, I need help. And I was in there because I was so violently ill. He was starting me on IV fluids, but he goes, we need to get you on your feet. We need to get you on your feet because I had to be in Los Angeles 3 days later for the LA marathon. He never said stay home. I would send my oncologist, both of them, pictures from me on the road. My bald head will travel, doing all of these cool things. And they did nothing but celebrate me. So I didn't have any encouragement to do those things, but nobody tried to hold me back. There are things I want to do, and I'm going to do them.
So,
Period.
so during those times, I mean, were you exhausted? Were you throwing
Yeah.
up? Were you sick?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
like you said, when you would get to the race, somehow you
Yeah.
magically were cured for the time you were up there, huh?
Yeah, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. If we would have thought of it, if we had known what was going on, we would have sent an entire research team along with me to see why I was over the toilet 1 minute and then I was life of the party the next.
That's
But
awesome.
again, yeah, adrenaline and purpose. I think purpose goes a long way. And so those are many of the stories you find in my noisy cancer comeback.
So, and let's talk about your treatment. So I imagine you're entirely in remission now. I'm hoping, yes?
I am, and
Amazing.
I've disallowed cancer to come back. So I'm 3 years out of treatment. I
Fantastic.
still take a little pill every night called tamoxifen. Some women hate it, but it works just fine for me. So I'm happy to stay on it as long as I can because it's interesting. It's like a little sniper. It pretends to be estrogen rolling around in your body. And the cancer I had likes to eat estrogen. So tamoxifen's rolling around in the estrogen dress. And when a cancer cell says, I'm going to eat that estrogen, then it kills it. It's like a little poison pill for cancer.
Let's talk about the first day you walked out of your house bald.
Yeah.
How was it?
Um, ugh. So I had already decided not to wear wigs. I tried on a wig when I had hair, and I realized right then that again, they were uncomfortable. It made me sad, and then I thought, well, men don't hide their bald head, so I'm not going to hide mine. But what I decided is hold your head up high. You're not your hair. Nobody in your world has ever chosen you because of your hair. So I didn't like it, but I wasn't going to let it prohibit me from doing the things. I have a weird sense of confidence, Dan. Probably it's confidence that I shouldn't have, but it didn't deter me. And then my first time getting on a stage bald, it was actually a very cold morning in Encinitas, California. And even with the long hair I used to have on cold days, I wear a fuzzy hat. I'm a big fuzzy hat girl. But on that day, I thought, you know what? I can't. I have to leave the hat off and I have to just be cold because out of the 5,000 athletes, many of them are going to lose their hair to cancer one day. And I want them to remember the noisy bald lady and that if she could do it, I could do it too. So I did make a decision there. And, once I'm doing my thing, I don't.
I've been hiding my bald spot for 10 years now. So, I'm a little bit different from you, but I would think it's empowering. Like it's once you walk out, it's a little pulling the Band-Aid off-ish. Hey, look, this is who I am. Like whatever.
It was a constant back and forth of emotions. So there never was a time, and I think I was bald for 5 months. I think that's how much I had zero hair. And then the next chemo schedule I went on allowed my hair to grow back. Even if I would just catch my reflection in a window at a restaurant or something, I would think, oh my gosh, you're so bald. It never got old. It never got
I bet you
accustomed.
were super hot as a bald woman. I'm sure.
Oh, that's very sweet. One of my most interesting experiences, it was actually the night before my eyes changed colors. I was at this VIP party at the Big Sur Marathon, and it's for sponsors and stuff. You got to put on a dress and be a little fancy for the evening. So I do. I put on my dress and trying to figure out what dress goes with a bald head. It was tricky, but eventually I decided, okay, they're my dresses. It's my bald head. They're all going to be fine. So I chose a dress, and I was in my hotel room again, just looking at myself, thinking, "Whoa, what has happened to you?"
I say the same thing when I look at my bald spot, so don't feel so bad. It's all right.
Well, it was a bald, but I had rashes, and like
No.
things were going sideways really quickly. But I had to go to this party, and I had to go, and I'm staring at the mirror, just thinking, "Geez, Louise, you're a train wreck." But then I thought, okay, till you make it, fake it. Just hold your head up high, smile big, do it until you get back to the room. That's your goal. Hold your head up high, smile big. And so I went out to the party. It was like an hour and a half, and I mingled, and I felt like shit.
Yeah.
and can I say that on your show?
Absolutely. You can even say
Okay.
fuck.
Okay.
Say it a lot. I say it way too much, but so maybe between the two of us, we'll figure it out.
So I felt like shit, but I went up there and I smiled and I just did a lot of faking. And I know people were really concerned about me and I didn't want them to be. So I put on the show. And then the next day, I was at the expo, which is where runners come to get their race bibs and their shirts and stuff. And this gaggle of ladies who had been at the party the night before, they run over to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so cool. What made you style your or cut your hair? You're so pretty." And I was like, "What do you
Uh,
mean?" They're like, "You're so hot. That's so cool." And I was like, I have cancer." They were floored and they said, and I hope anybody doesn't think I'm sort of obnoxious, self-involved person who thinks this way. But what they said is, "We thought you were a model because you stood up straight and you owned it. We thought you were some sort of fashion model, and that was by choice." And at that point, I thought, okay, I was cringing when I left the room when I looked at myself, but because I chose to smile, because I chose to stand up straight, people believed it, right?
Yeah,
So
and that's kind of what I was meant when I said it was empowering. It is a question of how you stand up. If you see somebody who's shrinking in the corner and trying to hide it, you're not going to get a lot of positive vibes out of that. But when you see somebody who just stands up and says, "Hey, this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be," I mean, it's kind of empowering not only for you but for other people as well, I would imagine.
that's the message is even a false sense of confidence goes a long way. And I do a lot of keynotes talking about first impressions, last impressions. Companies bring me in to help their people become better. I speak a lot for realtors because that's a really image oriented field. And people need to show up with good posture. Your posture matters. Those
Yeah,
first impressions are made within 7 seconds. That's before people get to know
yeah.
your bio, your credentials, your charisma, any of those things. They just see you and they say, "Hot damn, I want to work with him," or "Nope." Yeah, a lot of little lessons learned trying to figure out how to be who I am or who I was with this ever changing appearance. And you know what's even weirder is now that my hair is getting long again, I'm still thinking, "Oh, well, I used to wear my hair down. Now I kind of feel weird
Yeah.
wearing my hair down." I'm stuck with braids and buns and things because
Maybe
I
just go
feel
back to
awkward.
bald. How about you just go back to bald? I mean, it's really super easy and right? Be a quick morning in
Hopefully,
the bathroom.
hopefully never. I'm
Okay.
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna keep some hair. Hopefully.
Let's get into my noisy cancer comeback. What was noisy about it? Why is it noisy and how did that help or hurt?
Okay, so I'm noisy. In fact, in the running community, everyone calls me noisy. I'm part of Team Noisy. I'm the noisy one. I continued to make noise throughout my treatment. That's where noisy came, and the subtitle to that is running at the mouth while running for my life.
You're my kind
Wow.
of girl, Fitz. I got to tell you, we'd get along
Yeah,
well.
yeah, thank you. And then really the most important thing came after that was Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong, which is a guidebook to help other cancer patients and survivors rebuild and recover from treatment.
Let's go with yours first. My noisy cancer comeback. So, what was the comeback? I mean, it sounds like you were doing great the whole time. A couple days of cancer, a couple days bald, and like, hey, you were rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah, it sounds like that, doesn't it? I was, again, imagine if you lived with a violent stomach bug
Yeah, brutal.
every day, nonstop. I became a little skeleton. I
Yeah.
had lost muscle mass. I lost stamina. I started at about 125 and I went down to about 111.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
Well, in
everyone,
LA, I'm in LA. Like, you can never be too skinny, right, or too rich. So maybe it wasn't. But you're in Florida. It's different. Okay, sorry.
I was testing that. I was testing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had that point, and of course, everybody was trying to bring me food, and it's hard to eat when your stomach is a nightmare. But my mom, bless her heart, she said one day, she goes, "You need to eat. You look like you're in the Holocaust." And I said, "Yeah,
Oh, man.
I know."
So what was the comeback? Like, what was? I mean, obviously, getting better was a big part of
Yeah.
it, but I imagine the comeback was something beyond that.
Yeah, the comeback was very gradual, and it was me taking baby steps to try and rebuild my health. The mental game never left me. I mean, I did have short term memory issues. My purpose, who I was professionally, didn't suffer. In fact, because I kept going during cancer care, I tripled my business that year, which was
Oh wow, that's
phenomenal.
awesome.
Yeah, if I would have taken a year off, my business would have been decimated. When I was down as this weak little skeleton, what I decided was I know how to rebuild my body because I'm a fitness expert, right? So it was teeny tiny little baby steps. I never pushed too hard. I never had a setback. I was always compassionate with myself. I got in the pool and I wiggled. I didn't even swim. I didn't even walk. I just got in the pool and I wiggled. It
Right.
was steady she goes. By the end of my 15 months of chemo, was able to build back some semblance of stamina. I was still all the way thin. But I did a Spartan 5K a month after finishing all my treatment. The
Oh,
next
wow.
week, I did a mini triathlon, which I struggled all the way. I was dead last finisher, but I
That's all
did it.
right. No, you finished first in my book. You finished
Yeah,
first.
thank you. I've never been prouder of myself. It's funny, many of my athletes will say, "Oh, I didn't PR today," or "I didn't do this," and I think, "Dude, I was dead last, and I got passed by old people, pregnant ladies, children. I don't care. I accomplished something so great for me." And then about a year or so after finishing treatment, I ran the Boston Marathon.
Oh
So
my God. You are a
yeah,
beast, Fitz, a beast. What was your time?
um,
What was your time in the Boston Marathon?
oh, it was not impressive. I think it was about 5:40. So I wasn't burning up the roads, but I had a great day and
Right.
I finished. I
Well,
was
you're
very
running,
proud.
you're running about 25 and a half miles more than I can. So, I mean, it's very,
Okay,
very impressive. Anybody who does a marathon, I think is awesome.
me too.
So let's segue into your healthy comebacks. What are the messages and what are the guides you have for people who are dealing with this?
So the message there is control what you can when you can. Know right up front that you have a lot of power to affect your own outcomes and your quality of life. Endless studies show that you can weaponize exercise and nutrition to make yourself more likely to reach remission, less likely to have a recurrence, which is very powerful stuff. And when someone tells you you have cancer, usually you want to take all the chances you can, recruit all the weapons you can get to increase your chances of survival. And so that's what exercise and nutrition means. But it also means quality of life. A lot of times we have that, we're going to call her Aunt Peg. Everyone has that Aunt Peg. When you're diagnosed with something, Aunt Peg says, stay in bed, just isolate. You got to rest, rest, rest. And well, rest is very important. And I did a lot of resting. If all you do is rest, you lose muscle mass, you lose strength, you lose stamina, flexibility, mobility, balance. You don't want to be a cancer patient with an amputation or surgery or all these drugs affecting your mind, and now your balance stinks too. So exercise is vital. You don't have to be who you were. You certainly don't have to run any sort of marathon, but if you're stuck in a chair, fine, you can do exercises in a chair. This book, Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, is filled with dozens of photos on how to exercise in a chair. There's dozens of photos of strengthening and stretching exercises you can do while lying in bed. Even if it's an in bed day, can you do leg lifts? For sure. Can you stretch your back? Absolutely. And then if you're like me and you take a lot of showers because you're sick, there's dozens of photos on how to stretch in the shower. You exercise, move in any way possible, utilize nutrition. Most people, when they start to get they start downing vitamin C.
Right.
We got to have vitamin C. I got a cold. Okay, well, let's pretend you have cancer. And not only are you
Let's not
dealing with
pretend.
cancer,
Let's not pretend though.
yeah, right.
Let's have some.
Yeah, if someone's going to be poking needles through your chest or through your arm multiple times a week, you're at risk for infection whenever those things happen. So, nutrition is a really powerful weapon against extra hardships because cancer's bad enough. You don't want to make your situation worse because you had suffered from poor nutrition. So, exercise, sleep, nutrition, and then, of course, get your complementary care in order. It's your physical therapy, your mental health counseling, sexual health counseling. There's so many people that are having their sexual organs
Ugh,
messed with because of cancer, or their partner really is worried about hurting them. And clearly a healthy sex life is good for you.
always
It's
good.
good
Always
for
good.
your
Yeah.
attitude and your body and feeling loved. So yeah, this one is a well-rounded get everything in order, and it takes people from the day of diagnosis through all sorts of treatments and beyond.
So let me ask you, when you're dealing with cancer, which thankfully I've never had to deal with it, how much of it is mental versus physical? Because I know, like you said, you were feeling sick all the time. I know people who have cancer who are on chemo. It's wrenching for the body. How much of
Yeah.
it is them just not feeling well, and how much of it is them just powering through it mentally and saying, "I'm going to do my leg lifts today, even if I do feel sick"? What was it like for you? And what have you heard from other people?
It's brutal. It's so hard.
Yeah,
It is so hard. It's cancer. I would definitely say 70% physical, 30% mental,
right.
and I give the 30% mental part because it is so challenging every single day, trying to stop the demons in your head from thinking dark, dark things. That's a big one. I remember sitting here in my office thinking, okay, if I die, everything and here's trash. It was just like nothing I own matters if I'm not here. Why was I thinking that way? I was worried about my dog. What would happen to my dog if something happened
Right.
to me? She loves me so much. So the mental game is so valuable. And if you get that in order, you're more likely to be able to lift those legs when lying in bed, right?
Right. The book sounds like it talks about, exercise and nutrition. I mean, this is something that's the way we're supposed to live our lives with or without cancer, I would imagine, right?
Bingo. Yep.
What do you tell people who are getting off like when they're into remission, when they're now through recovery? Is it the same things you're talking about, or do you ramp up the exercise? Like, what did you do when you were getting out?
Yeah, I strive to be better. So once you're done with cancer care, what I hope everybody feels is how short life really is,
Yeah.
and then how important health is. And so many people joke, oh, I'm going to eat all my donuts, I'm going to drink all my beer, and I don't care. Okay. The day a doctor looks you in the eye and says, I'm so sorry, you have cancer, all you want is your health. All you want. You would give up your jet ski and your mountain house and whatever you have just to not have cancer, right? So that moment, health becomes a real top priority for you. You have a responsibility to your body to continue with that measure. Health isn't just about not having cancer. Health is about living long and living well and making sure your organs function properly because you're eating plenty of fiber and drinking plenty of water and you're moving your body appropriately. So I hope that people have a new respect for their health once they've come out of cancer. And sometimes cancer, isn't fully recoverable. There are people that have permanent ostomy bags. There are people that have. There's a little boy in my town who he's had bone cancer, so he's lost his lower leg. So
Hmm.
he's permanently altered from cancer. So I'm not suggesting everybody gets to be 100% when they're done, but man, do everything you can to go as far as you can, to feel as great as you can, to have your body perform as well as it can. And hey, why not even have it look fantastic too? We've looked weird enough. Cancer makes us look weird. I assure you, if you start exercising and eating great and taking good care of yourself, you're going to look better too.
Well, look, it gave you blue eyes for a couple weeks. I mean, that had to be cool.
No,
Right?
they've not gone back.
Oh, are they
They're
still blue?
still,
Oh, that's
yeah,
all. Yeah.
they're not navy, but they've settled it like a royal blue. These are not the eyes that I grew up.
We
So
have no idea. We have no idea how that happened. That's pretty crazy.
so bizarre.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. What keeps you active these days?
Well, what keeps me active? I just started learning guitar because I
Okay.
thought, like, short, that'll be fun, and it's so much fun. I just learned the intro to Friends in Low Places, which makes me very, very proud.
Very Florida of you.
Yeah. I'm now competing on at a fundraiser called Dancing with the Stars, so I'm learning the jive, which is pretty darn cool.
Wait, you're going to be
And
on Dancing with the Stars, like the dance?
not the ABC
Oh,
show, which
okay.
would be super cool. This is a local fundraising gala for a national ballet company. So I'm paired with a professional dancer and a choreographer, and we have a few months to practice. And there's a big night. There's a gala where people, hopefully, about 1,000 people will show up, buy tickets to watch us compete in this competition. But yeah, it's something fun and new, and
It's
I
awesome.
want to continue challenging my body and challenging my mind. And then, of course, I love my career. I love everything about it. I'm so fortunate.
And how are you getting your message out? Is it doing well?
The books are doing fantastic. So my noisy cancer comeback, regular non-cancer people buy this. It's a good story, right? It's
Right.
fun. It's funny. It's a little bit sad because it's cancer, but noisy does very well amongst the masses. And then your healthy cancer comeback and the healthy cancer comeback journal. There's two. All three of these books are doing very well as gifts. So sometimes people buy them for themselves, but what I find more often than not, people reach out and when they buy them at fitzness.com, I can sign the books. People can also get them at Amazon or Barnes and Noble, but when they buy them at fitzness.com, I get the story and they say, hey, my uncle has brain cancer. Can I get the 3-pack and the comeback king hat to him? And I hear almost every day I get a story of somebody loves that has brain cancer, ovarian cancer, colon cancer. It's relentless. But the books are doing very well. And my goal for your healthy cancer comeback is for that to be the go-to. So much like what to expect when you're expecting
Yeah.
is given to every pregnant lady on earth. I'm hoping this one lands in the hand of every new cancer patient on earth.
That's awesome. So look, we're dealing with old, fat, bald men. Not so much
I
women, but
love
men.
old fat bald men.
What's the final message to my crew out there?
Oh, guys, don't give up on yourself. If we're talking men specifically, uh, rejoice. You are so fortunate because when I teach people about nutrition, I have a very science. It's a little simple science, simple math. It's called the exact formula for weight loss. Basically, choose your goal weight. Let's say you want to weigh 172. Throw a zero on the end. That's your caloric budget for every day, 1,720. So whatever your goal weight is, put a zero at the end. That's your budget. When I say this to men, they go, "Oh, that's it? Okay, I can do
It's
that."
pretty easy.
And the weight falls off instantly. Men are like programmable robots. They respond and they take action. When they have information, they just make it happen. Women, on the other hand, will say, "Well, it's Friday night," or "I got my period," or whatever. And women, we're always coming up with excuses. But when men hear the formula, they execute and they get where they want to go. Men are also really, really good at fitness. And again, you don't have to be the football player you were in high school. Just be something, do something. I know men will stand up a lot straighter once even if your first workout in 20 years, that first workout will do so much for your ego and so forth. So I love men. Boy, am I a big fan. I envy the testosterone. You have so
Here they have
much
shots.
power.
They have shots for that, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. You have so much control and so much power and influence over your bodies. If you start doing the right things, you really, that's why all the women are, my husband and I are doing the same thing. He's lost 30 pounds. I've lost three. Guys,
Right.
you have
Right.
so much power and I'd be happy to help.
That's awesome. So we find your book at Amazon. We find it at fitzness.com.
Yeah, I like it better when people buy it at fitzness.com. I get to sign all those. I send them out with a free gift, and Amazon takes a fortune. So come
Okay.
buy them from me. But whatever, buy them wherever you want.
And it sounds like people can book you for corporate gigs and keynote speeches and all sorts of race announcing all over the country, correct?
Yes, and I'm fitzness.com is my home base. So it's FITZ as in zebra, NESS. Anyone can contact me by stopping by.
Hey, Fitz, it's been great talking to you today. I'm really excited we got a chance to meet you. You're a real inspiration to everybody out there, cancer or no cancer. Everybody should run to fitzness.com, buy her books, book her for races, do all those good things. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
All right, that's it. Another episode of Middle Age Mess in the Can. We'll see y'all later. Thanks.